Well, it's time to play again. And I'm standing in front of our large aluminum factory. It's an aluminum ingot factory that we built in order to have a good solid supply of all the aluminum parts that we need to make here in the future. And you can see it was a pretty major work. Now we're shipping aluminum ingots via train, and you can see the line is currently backed up here. This didn't cause a problem with our power grid because we had plenty of power grid available. But we continued building. And so what I wanted to do is show you what we continued building and why we ended up in crisis mode when our entire factory, over all of everything that we had built, completely came to a halt. I had to run around figuring out where to turn what on with all the different switches that we had established, how to get it all back up using the battery backups that we had, and we had a frightful time trying to figure things out. So let me show you what really broke things. So here I am traveling from my aluminum plant, and as I was going out of the aluminum plant, I noticed off in a distance a sloop. The sloop is on the top of a long finger of whatever it is, you know, those things that go curving up and down. The tactic I'm going to try to do is I am up here on a cliff that's actually a bit above where the sloop is, and it's just off the cliff over here. Now I'm on a butte that's way up in the air that's a bit to the same height as the aluminum factory that I just showed you. And so I'm going to run off of this as fast as I can and then use the jetpack to try to get close enough that I can actually grab the sloop and not die. We'll see. Okay? Oh no! I got it! I actually got it. I'm no good at trying to... I am no good at trying to land on something.
Helping meant leaving it.
Our blood will eat, build, teach.
I have no use for blood.
You do, consume.
Interesting.
Okay. The aliens are out and about again. So I'm sitting on top of this little finger here that looks like that. And I actually was able to do it. I can't believe it. I've never been able to do that. So I'm going to switch to my hover pack because I've got power right over here, and you know, hover pack will stop me. There we go. I got a sloop. I got a sloop. Way up there. That's cool. All right, so I worked on getting here to the compacted coal plant. Now, we originally built it, and we built this first manifold up to this split here. And what we realized is we didn't quite have enough compacted coal for the amount of turbofuel that we wanted to make to go into the generators. So we expanded just a little bit. Well, we doubled this size, and then we decided that maybe that wasn't quite enough, so we went ahead and expanded just a little bit more, and we added this whole section over here. So in essence, we quadrupled the size of this power plant, and I wonder why our power went out. You think? Maybe we overdid it just a little bit with that expanding power first? Yeah. In other words, we had solved our power problem for now, and now we need to solve our power problem once again. So this episode is going to be dedicated to the build of the Turbofuel power plant that we're going to build in the Northern oil fields. So come along with me, and let's go ahead and start getting some power put back into our power grid here. All right. Well, what I did is we traveled on out to where we're starting to build in the northern oil fields. I found the first pure node out of 2 that are up here. I've put a oil extractor on that pure node. And at this point, I'm just creating the infrastructure, putting the pure node on here. We're building this platform on out here that we're going to start building the refineries and putting the pieces and parts together in order to get power generated. This is just a mechanical part, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the camera for now as we build some more, and I'll keep showing you little bits and pieces as we get them built. The approach that we're taking is that we're going to build a modular power plant on the basis of a pure node that is overclocked by 250%. So a pure node will produce 600 meters cubed of oil, and that's what we'll start the power plant with. And so the power plant will end up having 10 refineries. It'll have 18 refineries then taking the fuel and making turbofuel along with the compacted coal. And then we will end up having 44 fuel generated power plants. So we will go ahead and start on that basis, and we'll see you after we begin building that next piece. All right, so let's take a little bit of a break here. I'm at the Northern Oilfield train station right now, and what I want to do is show you what happened that precipitated us having to make more power generation. So let me just quickly show you where I was when the power went out, which was part of how bad this whole thing had become. Number one, I was a long ways away from home. It took me a long time to get home because there was no power on anything. And I couldn't just flip the power switch on the local power pole because it just wouldn't stay going. So I'm in a situation where I'll show you where I was, and you'll probably understand why it was just such an issue. So here we go. Now, you may have felt that was a little bit of a distance. Well, I'm not even halfway there yet. So let's go into this hypertube. And we're finally here. Okay, so here I am trying to extract the sulfur and doing, trying to make sure that it was all even and everything was working right. And in extracting the sulfur, I found that I didn't have enough drone transportation to get all the sulfur back. It was backing up too much. Now that's when I had all the factories running, and we were dropping it into sinks so that we could see how much production we actually had. So it wasn't quite getting everybody filled up, so I built this new drone port over here. And in building that drone port, the power went out. And no matter how hard I tried, I could not go to any one of these power poles and get it turned back on. So I was without a hypertube, and you saw how far I went in order to get here. So I was, between a rock and a hard spot, literally. And so basically I just had to hike back. And then I had to start figuring out how to get it started. And I went to my battery backup and turned it on and tried to get it started. And the battery backup said it would last 10 minutes. So I had 10 minutes to fix everything? Probably not going to happen. So I had really severely gone over my limit. When you look at the priority power switch, what we also did was, while we had some things put on priority power switches, we really didn't have enough of the places to segregate out. So we had to add more priority power switches. This is all the places we're generating power, and we put them in group 1. Our backup power array was there. It would power the rest of that, let us get power supplies up and running. But we added more things here to segregate off different plants and different truck stations, for example, so that we could turn each one of them off and turn them on in succession. Now, before building the power out there, we didn't have nearly as many groupings here to cut off certain amounts of power. So because of that, we literally could not get the things back up and running, because basically our whole main factory was on one gigantic power grid with just a couple items that we could actually turn off. So, hindsight, better priority power switches, and watch your power grid to make sure that you've got enough power for everything that you're currently building. And that ends up, being the resolution for the problem we had here. That's the whole reason why we're building those oil fields out there. So let's go ahead and get back to it, and we'll get all these things back up and running. All right, I'm here at the compacted coal plant, and boy, am I just nervous. It's kind of like having our first baby. Because we had such a big problem with the power plants and the grid staying active, I was really, really nervous about getting our compacted coal plant running. You can see most of the sticks are green right now, telling us that the factory is running. I look over here at the train, and it's all the conveyors are loading their respective train loading platforms. So it looks like it's staying running at least long enough to get us enough compacted coal to get it out to that new oil field so that we can actually start generating some new energy. I have a lot of the factories turned off at this point, just to make sure that things will stay running long enough to continue the factories running. But at the same time, I'm still nervous. I'm still just incredibly nervous. I want to see it all work. Once we have that, it looks like we got about 11,000 megawatts out there that are being added. So 11,000, it means 11 gigawatts of power that we're going to add to the system. Now, they're not going to all come online right all at once. They're all filled with oil. They just don't have enough compacted coal yet, to make enough turbofuel in order to get the generators all running. But, as that process goes, we'll bring more and more of them online and see more and more of the production going up. So I'm going to head on over here to the power pole and see how things are going. They're kind of close. Our consumption is pretty close to our production level, and our battery is at 95%, which means it's slowly being drained a bit. So I'm keeping fingers crossed that everything will stay on long enough for the power plants to get going. Now, I just heard the train come. So the train is here. It's loading up with more. And now it loaded the last car, the only car that we have really running right now, because we only have one platform, and away it goes. So that's our second load of compacted coal going to that new power platform that we just created. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into Hypertube here and go on back and see how things are going out there. Let's go out to we'll go out to the oil field where we have the compacted coal being delivered, so that we can make energy out there with the new turbofuel. And I just can't get over the nervousness here of getting it going and getting all the factories going. I shouldn't have pushed it so long. I should have built new power long before now. Okay, we've got something going on here. A little bit of something going on. So we've got compacted coal coming in. Okay, so the coal is coming Right now we're sinking the polymer resin, and the compacted coal is going in, and looks like we have enough fuel. But let's see what's going on here. Okay, it's making turbo fuel. So these are making turbo fuel, but they're full, and they're just awaiting more to come in. So these are all making turbo fuel, and as soon as they get done making turbo fuel, these generators, looks like they're working. Yes, we've got generators generating electricity. Now that's 44 generators developing 11 gigawatts of power. I think we can start turning on pieces of the rest of the factory. Maybe we can get everything turned back on. This is so exciting. I have just never been so excited and nervous in all my life. So let's see what we can do to turn things back on. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to put that away. Get back my hot chocolate cup there. All right. I think we're going to turn on the sand factory, see how things go. Okay, that looks good. Let's turn on our truck ports and our big aluminum factory. Yes. We brought online 11 more gigawatts of power, and we have now managed to turn on all of our priority power switches. All we need to do now really is to go to all the other places and make sure that all the other places are actually functioning, because if they're actually functioning, then we've accomplished that. And the original problem that I created by overbuilding will once again be solved. Now, we're going to spend other time offline building even more power plants. In fact, we're going to duplicate this power plant on another pure node that we have, and then there are several normal and impure nodes that we're going to combine and continue to duplicate this configuration of power plant. In fact, it looks like we have the next power plant being built over there. Robert's been busy while I've been talking about things, and so he's already duplicated the next one. We'll find that next pure node and we'll bring this one online as well. So hey, if you liked this episode, hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Consider a member, because we have a lot of member things going on as well. And hope to see you again in another video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.